You know how easy it is to get lost in the rain, right? On the road where the slippery seats don't always get you home. In an old house where someone calls you when they shouldn't be there. Under a bridge where you used to stay. But that's just the beginning. These stories don't just scare you. They leave an imprint on your mind. Like a booming rumble of thunder. It plays over and over in your nightmares. You need to know what happened to each character. But are you ready to listen to the end? Or did you stop halfway? Scared by what you saw the next morning when you looked out the window? If you're brave, watch to the end. And when you're done, write in the comments what stories you want to hear next time. Maybe you'll find yourself in one of them. How's 2018? Jessica was driving on I-90, passing through the woods of New York State. The rain was pouring down. Visibility was almost zero, and she decided to pull over to the side of the road to catch her breath and wait for the weather to improve. A few minutes later, as soon as she stopped the car, a man in a hood flashed in the rearview mirror. He was standing right behind the car in the pouring rain, his face hidden by the hood. But something was strange about him. He was not moving and did not react to the light of the headlights. Jessica felt a surge of panic, but her mind told her that perhaps this was just a hitchhiker stuck in bad weather. Just in case, she locked the door and turned on the wipers to adjust them better. The man suddenly disappeared. Her heart began to beat faster. He simply dissolved into thin air. A minute later, the headlights of a passing truck illuminated his figure again. He was already standing in front of the car, right on the road, looking at her in a panic. Jessica fully engaged reverse and pressed the gas. A few seconds later, the car skidded to a stop. Something had hit the hood from behind. When the police arrived, they found deep scratches on the back of the car, as if someone had been scratching the metal plates with claws. But the investigation reports had no information about missing persons in that area, and Jessica never found out who the stranger in the hood was. In 2015, two college students, Sarah and Tom, decided to spend the weekend at Tom's old house, located on top of a hill in the suburbs of Seattle. On the evening of the second day, a sudden downpour began, accompanied by a powerful thunderstorm. Around midnight, the phone rang. Sarah picked up the receiver, but no one answered. Only a quiet hiss and light drops were heard, as if someone was calling from right under the rain. Tom, deciding to calm his friend down, went to check the house. While he was wandering around the rooms, Sarah heard the second ring, but this time, she was talking on her mobile phone, lying on the table. She picked it up and saw that the call was coming from the home number. She called out to Tom, but there was no answer. Frightened, she ran home to look for him and found him at the front door. Tom was standing motionless, looking out the window at someone walking around the yard in the pouring rain. "Who's there?" Sarah whispered, clutching the phone. Tom slowly turned his head and grinned. "I just talked to him on the phone. He said he was already inside." Thunder struck as all the lights in the house flickered and went out. None of the students returned home. The police found their belongings in cars, but the investigation yielded no results. All that was left in the police report was a record of the last call received from the home phone, which had been disconnected several years before their arrival. 2021. A young couple, Emily and Brian, returned from a late party in a small town in Wisconsin. The rain was getting heavier, and they decided to wait it out under an old bridge, where they had stopped nearby several times. There were several cars parked under the bridge, including an old black sedan that looked abandoned. "Convenient place," Brian said, and parked next to it. As they sat and listened to the raindrops on the roof, Emily noticed a silhouette moving inside the black sedan. "There's someone in there," she whispered, turned on the high beams to take a look. The interior was empty. They decided to stay put, and that was no mistake. But a few minutes later, a loud, grinding sound came from somewhere above. Emily looked up at the roof in horror and saw a figure standing on his car in the side mirror. Brian started the engine and abruptly pulled out onto the road. As they passed a black sedan, the headlights illuminated two figures inside, a woman and a man. They sat motionless and stared straight at Emily and Brian, their eyes completely black. A few hours later, the police arrived at the same place, under the bridge, but the couple was gone without a trace. The police noted that the roofs of the car had deep dents, as if someone had been standing on it for a long time. And the strangest thing is that the old black sedan that had seen the couple was gone and was never found. These three stories are a reminder that even in ordinary moments, such as a rainy night on the highway or a stop under a bridge, something sinister can unfold. Sometimes it is easier to explain such cases as mysticism, because rational explanations are almost impossible to find.